Good morning, this is Pauline.
And this is Lester.
And we start today with the Society News for Friday the 28th of June 2019. Tuesday, 2nd of July. The swimming group are swimming at the waterside pool in Ryde. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call the site for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group. Wednesday, 3rd of July. The weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House this week from 10:30am. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10am and 12 noon. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment. We will be attending the Independent Arts Sing-About session at St Mark's Church Hall, Wootton. We will be joining the session on the first Wednesday of each month. The session runs from 2pm till 4pm. It is free to attend and refreshments are provided. However, voluntary donations to Independent Arts are appreciated. Minibus transport may be available depending on location and cost £2. If you would like to join the Sing About group, then please call the Society on 522205. Thursday, 4th of July. There will be a coffee morning held at Costa Coffee, High Street, Cowes. Laura will be there between 10:30 and 11:45am. Refreshments are available to purchase direct from the coffee shop. The Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30am till 2pm. You can knit or just have a chat, then later in the afternoon volunteers come in and read to the group from different topics. If you'd like to join the group, then please again contact the Society on 522205.
Any other news? The Society is looking for donations of tombola prizes for upcoming summer shows and also donations of raffle prizes, i.e. meals, cars MOTs, gift tokens, etc. from businesses. If you're able to help, please contact Site for Wight on 522205 or email admin@iwsb.org.uk. Dress for Less, our boutique dress agency, is holding a ladies' fashion evening on Wednesday the 24th of July from 4:30pm till 7pm. Tickets are £3 and available from Site for Wight or Dress for Less. And this includes a glass of bubbly and nibbles. We will be joined by Tropic Green Beauty, Summer Lilies Florist, Jewellery by Emily, and The Body Shop. Selected clothing items will be available at a 50% discount. All profits will go to the Site for Wight. For more information, please call Dress for Less on 523197 or call in at the shop at 114 St James's Street, Newport. RNIB invites you to come and connect. The RNIB would like to hear your feedback and update you with what is going on in the community, so you are invited to come and connect with RNIB, other local support, and mostly importantly, each other. Dates and locations for the scheduled events on the Isle of Wight are Friday the 12th of July 2019, that's 10am to 1pm at the Honeyhill Room, the Riverside Centre, the Quay, Newport, PO302QR. Friday the 2nd of August 2019, 10am to 1pm at the Falcon Cross Hall, 6 to 8 Falcon Cross Road, Shanklin, PO377LA. The schedule for each day is as follows. 10am, free time to grab some refreshment and speak with local support and others affected by sight loss. 10:45am, organised talks to update you on changes in RNIB, information about RNIB Connect, and a chance to feedback. Going to 12:15pm, more free time for refreshments, a chance to collect information, meet local representatives and speak with others affected by sight loss. If you'd like to join the RNIB at any event, please RSVP by contacting the community facilitator Hazel Cross. Her email is hazel.cross redcross@rnib.org.uk, or you can phone 07525 923 093. Open Sight Hampshire are hosting the Eye Contact exhibition on Wednesday the 29th of September 2019 between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. at Aegeus Bowl in Southampton. It is Hampshire's biggest free exhibition, which brings together the latest equipment and services available to those with or at risk of sight loss. And for more information on this, please call 02380 641 244 or visit their website www.opensight.org.uk. This week in Touch, Scottish Braille Press stops press. Scottish Braille Press ends production of 5 publications. Claims that the Guide Dog Association has been too slow in training a new resident. Braille readers have enjoyed magazines from the Scottish Braille Press for the best part of 40 years. Now the charity says it is discontinuing all of its 5 publications. Scottish Braille Press CEO Mark O'Donnell explains the decision. Alitia Sellers moved from one side of Birmingham to the other about 4 months ago. She's still waiting for help from the Guide Dogs Association to learn her way around her new neighbourhood. Erin Jepson has 2 visually impaired children and reads and transcribes Braille herself. She wanted to find out how changing the word Braille to print in educational contexts might challenge some attitudes towards it. And the presenter is Peter Wight and the producer Lee Kumatat.
Now we're reading from the Isle of Wight County Press for Friday the 28th of June. We start with the headlines. Only one headline today, inside HM Prison Isle of Wight. So, life behind bars. The county press spends a day inside prison. The life of a prisoner behind the walls of HMP IW was revealed as the county press was given an exclusive tour around the island's famous prison. For the hard-working prisoner, there are a range of opportunities to better themselves in preparation for release to the outside. Prisoners are not allowed to do nothing during the day. They have to either be employed in some prison work or take up training or education. Cells are unlocked at 7:45 a.m. and prisoners receive breakfast and any medications they need. At 8:15 a.m. they are let out of the wing for exercise in the yard. At 9 a.m. they go to work, whether that be in the textiles workshop making clothes and sheets for the prison system, in the welding shop making containers for shipping prisoners' goods, in the waste centre collecting and sorting waste and recycling, or in the gardens maintaining flower beds and growing vegetables. This labour time can also be spent in education, either classroom or practical, such as in the painting and decorating workshop, where prisoners learn practical skills and earned nationally recognised qualifications. At 11:45 a.m, prisoners are sent back to their wing to collect lunch and are then locked in their cells until around 1:30 p.m, giving staff a chance to take a break. After that, they are sent back to labour and work until 4:45 p.m, before going back to their cells with dinner. At around 6 p.m, they are let out of their cells but remain on the wing to socialise, make phone calls or wash. At 7:30 p.m, they're locked up for the night. Prisoners are also on a rota for use of other services, including the gym and the library, which they value highly. Staff said these things can be used as an incentive to be well behaved, and the threat of losing access to the gym is enough to encourage many prisoners to be compliant. Time is also allowed for visitation and for religious practice at the prison's multi-faith chapels.
And this article, Path to a Career in the Prison Service. Becoming a prison officer at HMP Isle of Wight is no mean feat. Only those that pass rigorous training and aptitude tests will be selected to keep the island's prison secure. Those who think they have what it takes can follow the path of recent recruit Chris Cantello, who, having shown great talent for the role, is now working in the prison's segregation unit, an area usually reserved for staff with many more years under their belt. The first step in the recruitment process, Chris said, was to complete online tests in maths and English, as well as multiple choice questions about how you'd respond to scenarios. Passing that, applicants will attend an assessment day where the incidents are role-played with professional actors. With no training, applicants have to show how they would respond to the incident, giving examiners an idea of a person's natural responses. Those that pass go on to undergo 10 weeks training at the National Training Centre at Newbold Revel. However, Chris, who has now been in the job for 2 years, said he really started to learn when he began the job and was placed on a wing. "You learn from the officers around you," Chris said. "I enjoy the job. There are so many opportunities. In my first year, I wanted to get as much experience as possible. For me, this is a long-term career."
A planning application has been submitted for a new indoor multi-sports centre in Ryde with an ice rink. Ambitious plans for Smallbrook Ice and Leisure Centre are dependent on fundraising. Grant applications are planned for Sport England and other bodies. The team behind the plan said an initial investment of £1 million has already been secured, and they were seeking to raise a further £1.8 million to complete the project, then run it as a charity-led facility. The hope is for a state-of-the-art sports and education centre, offering ice skating, tennis courts, a climbing wall, a soft play area, cafe and sports shop. It would be built next to Smallbrook Stadium. It would be a major year-round attraction to improve the health and well-being facilities available to the local community, while bringing back the popular sports of ice skating and ice hockey to the island. Residents have worked with organisations including the Ryde Arena Community Action Group, Ryde School, the Isle of Wight Council and local sports clubs to draw up the plans, which have been submitted to the council. Organisers said if the application was successful, it could be open within 12 months. Malcolm Marshall of RACAG said the plans were a preview to a packed room of RACAG members. "We're so delighted with the proposal and give full support to development, which will bring back skating and ice hockey to the island along with a wide range of other activities for all islanders. Many of our young people and their parents and carers are showing great resilience by continuing to skate and play ice hockey on the mainland, but many others unfortunately have had to suspend their dreams. We warmly welcome the rapid development of an improved facility and will campaign to ensure that the council and national funding bodies give their full support to have the centre open within 12 months. The centre aims to be accessible to everyone, especially those on lower incomes, those who have disabilities and those that struggle to take part in activities due to lack of childcare. We hope the island will support this fantastic opportunity."
And rivals Hunt and Johnson visit Ireland. Ireland Conservatives have the chance to meet the future Prime Minister yesterday when Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt visited the island. The MPs, the final two in the Tory leadership race, gave speeches and answered questions at Shanklin Conservative Club. The event was open to local party members, with priority given to those who have been members for 3 months or more and therefore entitled to vote in the leadership contest. They joined the event separately, each giving speeches with a break in between. Mr Bob Seeley tweeted, "Delighted the Isle of Wight Conservative Association officers and I have managed to persuade both candidates to make a special detour to the Isle of Wight to speak to our many members." The arrival of Mr Johnson on the island led to an organised protest due to be held at St Thomas's Square, Newport. Protesters said they were standing in solidarity with domestic abuse survivors in response to reports neighbours of Mr Johnson phoned police after hearing a row in the property he shares with partner Carrie Simmons. See next week's County Press for full coverage of the visit.
A major land, air and sea search has taken place on the island this week to find a missing woman. Rosie Johnson, 22, from Glasgow, the niece of a Scottish politician, has been working as an activities instructor at PGL Little Canada since February. She was last seen at the Wootton Centre on Sunday evening. A huge land, sea and air search was launched on Tuesday to find Rosie, involving police officers, Ventnor and Bembridge Coast Guard rescue teams, Wight SAR and Hampshire Search and Rescue. The search has concentrated on the area around Wootton Creek, and residents have been urged to check their sheds, boats and outbuildings. As the county press went to print yesterday, Thursday, she had still not been found. Inspector Andy MacDonald said, "We have serious concern for Rosie's welfare. Information suggests she's still on the island, so this is where we are focusing our search. However, we would ask anyone with any information about her whereabouts to contact us as soon as possible. You can do that by calling the police on 101, quoting the reference 441 9021 7273. Rosie is a Glasgow University zoology graduate and the niece of Labour SMP Daniel Johnson. He appealed on social media for anyone with information to contact the police. She was last seen wearing a dark blue puffer jacket and trousers."
And now the news we've all been waiting for. Toilet seat was stuck on head. A small child with a toilet seat stuck on their head was freed by firefighters on Tuesday afternoon. The child was taken to Newport Fire Station at around 4 p.m, where the toilet seat was swiftly removed.
Good. Bid to recruit more nurses. The IWNHS Trust and Open University have joined forces to deliver a 3-year apprenticeship programme. The programme, funded by more than £2 million from the Trust Apprenticeship Levy, aims to increase the number of registered nurses and nursing associates. With more than 100 nursing vacancies on the island, the programme will provide training and employment. The Open University, which trains more health and social care staff than any other education provider, will deliver the apprenticeship standard qualifications, helping to develop the Trust workforce. Dr Sally Boyle, Head of School for Health, Wellbeing and Social Care at the Open University, said, "Open University nursing students and apprentices are often recruited locally and generally remain with their local hospitals once they have qualified as nurses. The apprenticeship programme is vital to the retention and expansion of the nursing workforce on the island."
Tents salvaged from festival. A salvaging charity has saved almost a tonne, that's TONNE, of Isle of Wight festival equipment from a landfill. Following the festival, Hearts for Refugees, who will redistribute the equipment to vulnerable people, spent 2 days at Seaclose Park festival site salvaging tents and camping equipment. In total, the team collected 3 van loads of equipment, which would cost around £20,000 to buy now. The team approached festival organisers John and Caroline Giddings, who were supportive of the cause. A spokesman for Hearts for Refugees said the phenomenon of people abandoning tents and other camping equipment has been very much in the news lately. By salvaging usable tents and sleeping bags, we can save a substantial amount from going into the ground. The reality is the gear people abandon at festivals is literally saving lives. Hearts for Refugees thanked the Giddings, Ed Brotherton of Amy and the volunteers who helped.
And continuing on the festival theme, when rain fell on the Isle of Wight festival site on the days leading up to the event, a number of island firms were called in to help out. C&O Tractors, based at Forest Road, Newport, was asked to supply and spread no less than 150 tonnes of wood chip to make sure the walkways and arena did not become too muddy. Lee Priddle, of C&O's island manager, said he was asked to provide 2 massive Ferguson tractors and spreaders, plus a telehandler to load them, after getting a last-minute call from organisers when the weather took a turn for the worse.
Visionary, that's an inverted in speech marks, Heath bids farewell to Aspire. The founder and chief executive of Aspire Ride is leaving the charity. Heath Monaghan will leave the well-known organisation by the end of the year to train as a pioneer minister with the Portsmouth Diocese. The trustees said they had a robust transition plan in place and the Aspire team would continue to provide services to the community from its Dover Street base. They said Heath's vision was to revitalise an old church building, strengthen services to the local community and to be responsive to local needs. With his passionate and dedicated team, Heath has developed a wonderful multiple award-winning concept that is highly regarded and regularly accepts visitors from other communities across the UK, looking to the example of Aspire Ride as they seek to revitalise their own communities. Aspire plans to open a soft play centre and remove the building from the at-risk register, making it fit for the purpose for the future. Heath said, "It is really difficult to leave the people at Aspire that have become like family. However, the calling into ministry has been ever growing. The organisation will really benefit from someone with a different skill set to take it into this exciting next phase of its life. I believe the foundations are now firmly laid for the organisation to face the future with renewed vigour and the stability to have a great impact, not only saving this wonderful heritage building, but transforming our community and impacting lives in the process." Will Sussman, chair of the Board of Trustees, said, "There's a sadness about Heath leaving us, but also celebration at all that has been achieved, what he will achieve in his next role, and much excitement about the future. On behalf of the board and the volunteers, I would like to thank Heath for the enormous amount of passion, hard work and energy he has brought to this role."
Southern Water said it was deeply sorry and will rebate customers to the tune of £123 million following an investigation by Ofwat. The company's wastewater treatment compliance has been under investigation for 2 years due to breaches of licence conditions and statutory obligations between 2010 and 2017. Ofwat found some of its treatment sites were manipulated by staff to pass some sampling tests that otherwise might have failed. No details have been released about the number of island wastewater customers affected or how many will receive a rebate. Southern Water said it had supported the investigations and completed its own internal review, which highlighted failures of people, processes and systems. Southern Water said it had agreed a response with Ofwat encompassing penalty, reparation for customers and assured improvement. Southern Water will rebate wastewater customers £123 million over 5 years and pay a £3 million fine. Ian Macaulay, Southern Water's chief executive, said, "In 2017 I was brought in to drive change and transformation. We're deeply sorry for what has happened. There are no excuses for the failings that occurred. We've clearly fallen far short of the expectations and trust placed in us by our wastewater customers and the wider community we serve. Public safety and our beautiful, delicately balanced environment are of the utmost importance, and we are committed to being rigorous in their protection." Last week, as reported, Surfers Against Sewage complained about sewage being flushed into the sea following heavy rain.
Spurs players to meet fans at Legends Night. 2 Spurs legends will visit the island to meet fans and talk about their careers. Former Tottenham players Graham Roberts and Tony Galvin will be guests at the event at the Riverside Centre, Newport, next Friday, organised by the Vectis Spurs Supporters Club. Over a 3-course meal, fans will be treated to an interview and question and answer session. Afterwards, they will be able to meet the players for autographs and pictures. There will also be a quiz, raffle and auction with signed prints of both players, football boots and other memorabilia up for grabs, plus a football signed by the current Tottenham squad. The event starts at 7 p.m. For tickets, which will be available until Monday, contact Vectis Spurs on 527 957 or email Tracy71, that's in numerals, Pete57 in numerals also, at hotmail.co.uk.
A £2 million regeneration programme designed to create jobs, provide more affordable homes, reduce poverty and breathe new life into some of the island's most deprived areas has been approved by councillors. Inspiration Island sets out the Isle of Wight Council's plan for regeneration over the next decade, with the aim of creating a sustainable economic future for the island. The project began to take shape just over 2 years ago with the appointment of Regeneration Director Chris Ashman and Assistant Director Rhaenyra O'Donnell. The draft strategy went out for consultation in July last year, and the consultation ended in October. Last week, the Council Cabinet voted to approve it. As previously reported, it includes a proposal to build 1,000 affordable homes by 2025, increase average pay to £600 per week by 2027, and close the poverty gap between the most affluent and deprived areas by 20% by 2030. The strategy represents a near £30 million capital cash injection by the Council into regeneration schemes to unlock more than £150 million of public and private sector investment to drive the programme forward.
New home care company launched. The island has a new home care provider. Cowes couple, John and Dee Oswald, have opened a branch of Home Instead Senior Care, covering all areas of the island. John, a former chartered surveyor, and Dee, who has a background in business administration, said they were on a mission to change the way elderly people were cared for in the community. Home Instead Senior Care is an award-winning company that aims to provide personalised care in people's homes. Services include companionship, respite and post-discharge care, personal care, Alzheimer's and dementia care, medication reminders and palliative care. John said, "Our aim is to help people live independently in the comfort of their own homes for longer." Dee and I have had both experienced the difficulties of trying to obtain quality care for our own ageing parents, and this being the primary reason for setting up the new business. Dee said, "We are now recruiting caring and compassionate people to join our team. Age doesn't matter, skills are transferable and training is provided. All we do ask is that you have a passion for caring."
The Footprint Trust has been awarded a grant from the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Community Foundation to help people reduce their energy bills by an average of £300. The grant will be used to carry out home visits in Shanklin, Sandown and Lake. The Trust Ray Harrington Vale said, "We're grateful to HIWCF for its support. The Bay Area has high levels of fuel poverty, with households choosing between heating and eating."
Man denies dazzling pilot. The 53-year-old man accused of shining a light at a police helicopter pleaded not guilty to the charge when he appeared before magistrates. Nicholas Michael Hawkins of Heathfield Road, Bembridge, denied directing shining a light at an aircraft in flight so as to dazzle or distract the pilot on March the 26th. Island magistrates granted unconditional bail and set a provisional trial date of August the 15th.
Sir Ben Ainsley dropped into Seaview Yacht Club to help launch the club's summer school sailing programme. Ben and Lady Georgie Ainsley, the former Sky Sports news presenter, headed out on the water for an afternoon of sailing with children on Friday, then held a question and answer session. Members of the 1851 Trust, which supports the programme, gave a presentation about the education work it does with young people. The Seaview School's sailing programme aims to encourage and teach Year 5 children to sail under the supervision of Seaview Yacht Club and its Royal Yachting Association qualified instructors. Although participating children all live on the island, they typically have no experience or opportunity to learn to sail. They will now take to the water during their 10-week school curriculum at no expense to either themselves or their school. Each of the 5 Isle of Wight schools involved will receive weekly 3-hour sessions with RYA qualifications on offer. Seaview Yacht Club's head of the training academy, John Curtis, said, "We're absolutely delighted to develop and grow the Seaview School's sailing programme and fully utilise our facilities and share our RYA instructor skills with the local pupils of the island. We're looking to see how we can expand this programme even further as we generate more support from our partners from across the Isle of Wight."
Dog lovers' top picks for Woof Awards. The Woof Awards are aimed at promoting the island as a dog-friendly destination. Islanders have nominated their favourite dog-friendly beaches, pubs, walks and attractions. A shortlist has been drawn up after more than 1,300 nominations were submitted for the first WOOF Awards organised by Wight. The shortlist includes Brook Beach, the Waterfront in Totland, Royalston Gardens in Shanklin and Luckham Manor. The winners will be announced at the Royal Isle of Wight County Show this weekend, with prizes of trophies, goodie bags, £100 in Wight travel vouchers and a golden paw print up for grabs. Golden paw print, that's in capitals. The WOOF Awards are aimed at promoting the island as a dog-friendly holiday destination by highlighting some of the best canine-friendly businesses and attractions. There are also categories for devoting dog owners and top dogs themselves, including reading dog Toby, assistant dog Moya, and jet skiing dog Hope. Stuart James, Marketing and Innovation Director of Wight, said, "We always knew the island was a dog-friendly destination, but we're encouraged by the number of nominations we received. We'd like to thank everybody who nominated and all businesses and individuals on the island who ensure our canine visitors get the best of welcomes." The award panel will include dog behaviour specialist Paul James Marshall from the Dog Reporting Project, Visit Isle of Wight Managing Director Will Miles, Dogstival Organiser Damina Noel and Wight Finance Director Jonathan Pascoe. The 2019 Wight WOOF Awards shortlisted entries are Best Dog-Friendly Beach, Brook Beach, Seagrove Bay, Ryde Beach, Best Dog Walk, Circular Walk from Freshwater Causeway, Circular Walk from the Wishing Well, Pondwell, Grange Chine to Isle of Wight Pearl and back, Dog of the Year, Toby the Reading Dog, Moya the Assistance Dog, Hope the Jet Skiing Dog, Dog Person of the Year, Carol Court of Ability Dogs for Young People, Ryan Bennett of Rise Dog Training, Rennie Rhodes of K9, that's K and then number 9, Academy, Best Dog Business, Handsome Hounds, Top Knot and Tails, All Canines Great and Small, Best Dog Friendly Place to Eat and Drink, The Waterfront, Totland Bay, The Sun Inn Calbourne, Off the Rails Yarmouth, Best Dog Friendly Attraction, Royalston Tea Gardens and Crazy Golf Isle of Wight Steam Rail, the Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary, Best Dog Friendly Accommodation Provider, Luckham Manor, Grange Bank House, Wycliffe Bay.
Around £10,000 was raised at a charity clay pigeon shoot held in memory of an island teenager who died of a brain tumour. The competition, held at Buckham View Shooting Ground, raised money for the Wight Brainy Bunch and the Teen and Young Adult Ward at Southampton Hospital in memory of Alana Morris. Alana, daughter of Jan and Aubrey Morris, was 18 when she died in November after she was diagnosed with an incurable brain tumour last March. The charity shoot was a great success, with 146 people taking part. There was also a raffle and auction. It was organised by Alana's aunt and uncle, Anna and Bob Morris. Alana's dad, Aubrey, and her brother Ben had a go, never having shot in a competition before. Thanking the farming community for its support, Anna said Alana would have loved it. She would have been so proud to see Ben and her dad shooting. She would have gone out of her way to help at an event like this. She was very brave. She held it together throughout her treatment and was absolutely amazing. When we realised we'd raised around £10,000, I was in tears. It shows how generous people are. We were overwhelmed by the whole event. The atmosphere was amazing and emotional.
And another article, more dog news here. Parkhurst Pup Party. More than 70 dogs got together at Parkhurst Forest for a social meet-up organised by Rise Dog Training. Ryan Bennett of Rise Dog Training was celebrating his 50th big social meet and beat his previous record for the number of dogs taking part. Ryan decided to celebrate at Parkhurst because that was where he held his first meet back in 2015. He said, "Rise Dog Training started as a hobby. It was a nice thing I did just to help people out at weekends. The business is now popular due to these meets, which run once a month and have done since I started the business. As a dog trainer, I go to see all types of breeds in all ages. Dogs that jump up on people, won't recall, have separation anxiety, aggression, or lacking in obedience. The list goes on. Over 65% of the British public living in the main of UK have a dog in their home. That number is huge and doesn't seem to have changed for the island. A lot of antisocial dogs need time and small amounts of change in their life to ensure that the process is not rushed to become more sociable. Dogs need time to adapt when other dogs are around. On Rye's big social meets, all dogs are welcome, as well as owners.
Concerns have been raised about a loss of local health services after it was announced Ventnor's health visitor team was moving to Sandown. For the last 4 years, the team has been based in the centre of the town at Salisbury Gardens. Ventnor Town Council said it was so concerned about the decision, it unanimously decided at its last meeting to ask those responsible to revisit it. A spokesperson for the Town Council said, "We understand that one of the drivers of the proposed move is to save the current £4,500 rent. This is clearly not a deliverable saving given the additional 6 miles in travel each way to their place of work that would be required at 45 pence per mile, plus the lost face-to-face client time. The Town Council's major concern is the inevitable reduction in the level of this crucial service for the town's young mothers and their children. It's all the more serious because Bernardo's has reduced services at the once excellent children's centre in the town to less than 1 day a week. Upper Ventnor and the town centre, home for half the town's population, are among the most deprived, not only on the island but nationally too, according to the government deprivation figures. The evidence showing the importance of the early years experience in addressing deprivation and increasing life chances is absolutely clear, which is why the Town Council is requesting that this decision be reconsidered in consultation with us." A spokesperson of the Isle of Wight NHS Trust said, Moving health visitors a short distance into a building where they will be based with the rest of their team will be better for that team and for their patients. People in Ventnor will not see any change in the service that they receive.
Details revealed for smaller Pride event by Emily Pearce. The details of this year's Isle of Wight Pride event have been revealed, and it will be much smaller than last year. The Isle of Wight Pride will take place in Ryde on Saturday the 20th of July, featuring a parade through the town, starting at Queen's Road at noon, and entertainment on the beach. Due to time and budget constraints, the new committee convened to organise the event after it was initially cancelled and said it had been unable to apply for a full licence. It has instead been granted a temporary event notice, allowing for an entertainment area with a limited capacity of 500 people. Last year, when the island hosted the UK Pride celebrations, the capacity was 15,000. The previous year, for the inaugural event, was 5,000. Tickets for the entertainment area will cost £5 and will be sold on the door on the day. They will not be available in advance. The line-up for the entertainment area next to Peter Pan's playground has not yet been announced, although organisers have said it will feature live music, DJs and drag artists. There will be a free community village on the seafront next to Ryde Super Bowl, with stalls, local musicians and artists, community groups, yoga and a picnic area. Organisers said we will be operating a one-in, one-out policy in the entertainment area to monitor capacity. We want to ensure Isle of Wight Pride continues into the future, so a small £5 entry fee is asked to help to cover costs. We know this year's event might be different. Our focus is to deliver an event that will celebrate the LGBTQ plus community on the Isle of Wight and beyond with the time we have had.
Isle of Wight Armed Forces Day 2019 took place at the weekend, a day for islanders to show their support for our service personnel. The main event was held at Newport Quay on Saturday with an all-day programme featuring exhibitions and entertainment. The day started with a parade through the town to the quayside, including marching bands, standard bearers, cadets and veterans, led by HM Royal Marine Band Collingwood. A salute followed, taken by the island's Lord Lieutenant Susie Sheldon, followed by an opening ceremony led by Isle of Wight Council Chairman, Councillor George Cameron, and a blessing by the Royal British Legion's County Chaplain, Reverend Amanda Collinson. Isle of Wight Council Cabinet member, Councillor Ian Ward, who served in the Army, gave a speech about the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima. There was live music from island groups, including the Isle of Wight Pipes and Drums, the Bunker Girls and the Medina Marching Band. Magician Andy Vance entertained the crowds, and visitors admired seacraft moored on the river. The ceremony concluded with HM Royal Marine Band playing the national anthem. On Monday, an Armed Forces Day flag-raising ceremony was held at St Thomas's Square, Newport, followed by a short service. The ceremony was held as part of the Fly a Flag campaign, showing support for the military community, both serving and retired. The National Armed Forces Day takes place tomorrow, Saturday.
And Chequers owner to take over Knighton pub. The team behind the Chequers in Rockley have taken on another pub, the White Lion in Knighton. The sale has been completed, keys collected, and renovation works have started at the village pub. Mark Holmes of the Chequers told the county press, "We're really excited to open up at the White Lion. We picked up the keys last Friday night and the builders were straight in because we are going to redecorate the whole place. We're hoping to make it a hub for the village. We want to make it a traditional village pub with great food and great beer. It's going to have a different menu from the Chequers. We want it to have its own identity. It is going to be family friendly, and we have got some play equipment to go in the garden. We want to have a nice beer garden so villagers can come out in the summer and have barbecues and cold beers." The villagers all seem very excited. People have been walking past and popping their heads in to say hello. "We have got a good management team ready for the start, including a head chef and manager." The White Lion, previously owned by Enterprise Inns, has been closed since January. Mark said he hoped to open in mid-July.
Red Funnel has been ordered to pay almost £40,000 after a worker fell from a mezzanine deck and suffered serious injuries. Southampton Crown Court heard he was uncoiling a reel of electrical cable when he inadvertently stepped off a raised edge and fell 2.5 metres to the lower deck, sustaining multiple fractures to his foot and wrist. The incident happened on board the Red Falcon car ferry while overnight maintenance was being carried out at Southampton Docks on September the 24th, 2015. Following an investigation, the Health and Safety Executive found Red Funnel should have taken steps such as lowering the mezzanine deck or raising the edge protection barriers to eliminate the risk of someone falling from height. It prosecuted Red Funnel, which pleaded guilty to failing to discharge its duty under the Health and Safety at Work Act. At a sentencing hearing on June the 14th, the company was fined £30,000 and ordered to pay court costs of £10,800. Speaking after the case, HSE Inspector Andrew Johnson said, "Companies have a duty to ensure the risks from working at height are properly controlled. Simple steps to eliminate the risk or prevent it were not taken and a serious injury occurred."
All aboard the Ark! A ride playground has been transformed with a wild walk and new equipment thanks to a £100,000 investment. Sovereign Housing Association has invested the cash in the Ark Playground, Slade Road, and invited residents to attend the official opening. Local children were thrilled with the new equipment and couldn't wait to get stuck in. The improvements include new paving for the basketball court and skate park, and new swings, climbing frames and picnic benches. The Ark was officially opened by Councillor Charles Chapman, after which staff from Sovereign Communities team handed out ice creams. Sovereign has worked with Vectors Housing Association and Wild at Wight on the project. One new feature is a wild walk which runs alongside the park where children can try pond dipping and bug hoovering. David Bull, Sovereign's regional housing manager, said, Over the last decade, we've worked with other organisations to transform the neglected play area into a wonderful space for everyone to enjoy. Sovereign plans to invest £50,000 in another ride play park at Nelson Road. The plans are being developed by the Housing Association's resident-led group, the Nelson Road Park Community Project. The park will have a seesaw, scramble net, balance board and accessible roundabout. Becky Haydock, Sovereign Community Engagement Officer, said, "Working with the project has been rewarding. It's wonderful to see such a motivated group realise their community's vision."
And that's the end of the first half of the County Press on this gloriously sunny morning. So it's goodbye from Pauline.
Have a great day. It's goodbye from Leicester.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Paul, and I'm going to start with a letter. No intention of meeting GMB or Harbour Trust. This is from Malcolm Thorpe, Bembridge Harbour Authority, Bembridge. The article shows us the books regarding Bembridge Harbour, County Press the 21st of June, does omit several serious items. GMB has asked the Department for Transport to audit the harbour's books. In fact, DFT had already responded in December 2018, when Baroness Sugg stated, "The Secretary of State for Transport has no plans to appoint any inspector to consider matters relating to Bembridge Harbour. Bembridge Harbour Authority complies with all the laws and government requirements relating to its disclosure of its financial affairs. This has even been confirmed by the Bembridge Harbour Trust, BHT, who appear closely allied with the GMB as being correct. However, both concerns still continue to request further information, such as our management accounts that contain confidential and sensitive commercial data to which they have no rights. Accordingly, we see no reason to meet with the GMB and have informed Bembridge Harbour Trust that we have no intention of meeting BHT in its current format. Neither GMB nor BHT has any legal, moral or contractual standing within the harbour."
And here's a letter from Nigel Hartley, who's the CEO of Mountbatten in Newport. And the headline is, "Thanks to all our volunteers." I'm writing in response to the letter from Stephen Holmes in the County Press on the 21st of June. I'd like to offer our heartfelt thanks to everyone who volunteers for us, including those at the Isle of Wight Festival who helped to raise over £20,000 towards the £8 million we must find each and every year to continue providing and growing our wide-ranging end-of-life services in the face of rapidly increasing demand. Every penny raised by you for the hospice ensures the islanders we care for are able to continue living as well as possible until they die, and ensures we're there afterwards for those they love throughout their bereavement. We're here for everyone, no matter what their illness or where they want to be cared for at home, including care homes, in hospital or in our hospice. We currently have more than 1,300 people on our books on any one day. Our bereavement support also extends to anyone who needs it, not just those who have had a connection with Mountbatten. I want to be clear that our Mountbatten nurses, carers and other staff are directly funded by our island community. While we have historically benefited from funding from Macmillan Cancer Support, in more recent years we have not and do not receive any financial support from them. We cannot comment on any other services provided by Macmillan on the Isle of Wight. Thank you to everyone who supports Mountbatten, whether through our shops, volunteering, fundraising, and donating in many different ways, including leaving a gift in your will. Everything you do helps to share our story to a wider audience. Every person on the Isle of Wight will need our support in some sense in the future. Each and every one of us has a part to play in ensuring Mountbatten can continue to be by your side through the last years of your life.
All right, here's a letter from Colin Midmore, Sandown. Parish councillors need to take back control. What is it with town and parish clerks on the island having such a hold over the councillors? We are constantly told in Sandown our town council has a duty of care towards the clerk, but it seems to ignore its duty of care to fellow councillors and to the electorate. The hold clerks have created appears to be empowered by a constant threat of action by the clerks against their employees. The high-ranking officials in the Isle of Wight branch of society of local council clerks are constantly telling anyone who will listen there is a major problem with bullying and harassment of its members. This is just not proven. I recently submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Isle of Wight Council asking how many complaints of bullying or harassment have been made by town and parish clerks against councils or councillors on the Isle of Wight. The response makes interesting reading. Since records began in 2002, there have been a grand total of 2 complaints of bullying submitted, with one of these resulting in an apology and the other requiring no action. 1 complaint upheld in 7 years. Our elected representatives therefore need to understand the facts, resist this unsubstantiated threat, and wrestle back control of our local councils from their paid staff.
Over to Wight Memories. The headline is Gilbert Attrill's Cunard Career by Anne Grant. Austerity is not new. The years after the First World War were dire for most Britons, and the island was no exception. The UK Treasury was depleted by the First World War. Wartime wage rises had to be reduced to pre-war rates. Having sacrificed so much, men and their families had to bear the burden once again. Hardship began to bite, a wave of industrial strikes began, and islanders suffered a coal shortage. Gilbert Henry Attrill of Haylands, Ryde, moved into the Merchant Navy after his war service. Surplus Royal Navy vessels sailed from Portsmouth to Rothside to be scrapped, and the Navy used men like Gilbert in the galley to feed the skeleton crew who sailed ships to Scotland's dockyard. Britain's long love affair with cruise holidays began in the interwar years, the golden age of liners. Gilbert needed more secure employment to feed his young family, so he moved to commercial ships at the first opportunity. His distant cousin, Percy Attrill of Ryde, was a roast cook with Cunard Line, and Gilbert joined Percy on board RMS Aquitania in 1920. He signed on immediately after a sea steward's strike ended against pay cuts. Before the First World War, Aquitania was Britain's queen of the transatlantic fleet, and during the war she was a hospital ship and troop carrier. In 1920, refitted to former glory, she was converted from coal to oil fuel, and the first trip in July carried 2,433 passengers. Oil proved cheaper than coal, and 225 coal fireman crew lost their jobs. Gilbert started on Aquitania as assistant cook. and as he docked in New York in August 1920, publicity in America and Britain announced the ship's faster crossing. The news prompted rival White Star Line to issue a denial that their great liner, the oil-fired Olympic, would attempt a transatlantic race with Aquitania. At the same time, men of Isle of Wight rifles gathered at Puckpool House, Ryde, guests of Lieutenant Colonel Vesey, and proudly cheers Aquitania's return as Britain's flagship liner. Thus began the conversion of other large liners from coal to oil, with hundreds more job losses of coal firemen. Crew life below Cunard decks comprised long hours and hard work, and pay rates were dictated by high unemployment ashore and government policy. By contrast, wealthy passengers travelled in first, second and third class cabins. Poor British and Europeans leaving for America under the assisted immigration scheme travelled in lower deck steerage. Aquitania was constantly headline news, and while Lord Leverhulme was on board, he declared, "Prohibition in America has come to stay. There's no chance the law against alcohol will ever be repealed." A few weeks later, British ships were accused of flouting US prohibition laws in American waters, and rival US shipping lines complained that UK crewmen sold smuggled alcohol to American passengers. Nothing was proven, but Cunard reported an increase in American passengers using Aquitania and her sister ships. Leverhulme then voiced concern for America's industrial position, with the seeds of the Great Depression starting to take root in both countries.
By May 1921, Gilbert had moved up from the kitchens to third-class waiter, but any increase in pay was quickly reversed when Cunard ordered another pay cut for all their crew. The National Union of Stewards called the members but on strike, with newspapers reporting that the Aquitania may not be able to sail. To break the strike, Cunard director Sir Percy Bates and office staff took the place of 590 stewards. He stated the passengers had not noticed the steward's absence, but some passengers disagreed and the substitute crew was not repeated. Research of crew lists revealed that some had cannily signed on with Cunard's Burraganaria, which sailed just before the reduced wages came into effect, and for that one round trip only they earned the higher pay rate. The strike ended when stewards had to accept the government-agreed British shipowners' lower pay rates, or starve, but the owners' victory was short-term. What the authorities failed to anticipate was the big impact the expansion of Southampton docks would have on their business. Gilbert served on the former German liner Impertora Bulgaria for 5 months. In 1919, when the Imperator was first arrived in the Solent, crowds gathered in Cowes to see her, and Cunard renamed her Berengaria. In November 1921, Actual switched back to Aquitania, and on that trip was Prime Minister David Lloyd George, sailing to America for the Disarmament Conference in Washington. The doubling of dock facilities in Southampton by 1923 facilitated the welcomed arrival of more American ships and extra jobs. The unexpected consequence was that it plunged British shipowners into crisis. Gilbert Attrell remained a Cunarder until he became part of that 1923 mutiny, but that is a story for another day. I've got My View by Rebecca Rankarani. Fat balls are the crystal meth of the rat world. As a country girl born and bred who spent the first 16 years of her life living next to a silage pit on a farm in a small village, I have no romantic notions about living in the country. With all that beauty comes muck and inconvenience at times. Having recently moved back to a rural location, I was very enthusiastic about feeding the birds. I wanted to encourage them into the garden and do my bit to help the population of smaller birds the RSP says are under threat. At first it was brilliant. We had 9 different feeding stations dotted around the garden. Some for nuts, some for fat balls, always makes me smirk, and some for bird seed. I also bought mealworms and mixed a superfood. Nothing was too good for these birds. They came, masses of different kinds, and it was wonderful, idyllic. Then the crows came. They are huge and mean looking with strong, cruel beaks, and they strut. They are not afraid. One day I went back to check on my greenhouse to discover carnage. I had several trays of seedlings growing beautifully. The feathered fiends had flown in as a gang, it looked, as though they had had a riot. They tramped on some and played catch with everything else. The mess! Then my OH said he had seen a rat at one of the bird feeders. Well, we live in the country, surrounded by trees, shrubs and a huge pond. Considering the advice to deter rats is to deny them cover, water and food, the only thing we had any control over was the food. There seemed little point in worrying too much, and certainly no point in ringing a pest control company. Get rid of one lot and another would surely follow. So it was a case of management rather than annihilation. To be honest, I thought the OH was exaggerating. He's a bit of a drama queen. Then I saw in my own eyes 3 rats standing on their back feet at one of the feeding stations having a right royal feast. They looked really sweet. However, encouragement was not an option, so I sent off for some squirrel-proof bird feeders, which promised to keep out large birds like crows, and rats as well. Bingo! Except the rats bloody loved them. They managed to get past the cage with ease. Indeed, they used the outer cage to brace themselves while chomping on the goodies inside. I saw one lying in between the 2 cages, casually extending a paw in a peel me a grape kind of way. It was hysterically, frustratingly kind of funny. Whatever your view of rats, they're clever little beasts. We've given up feeding the birds fat balls, as they seem to be the crystal meth of the rat world, just seeds and nuts now. We've also comforted ourselves that these rats are not just any rats. They are most likely an endangered species of water rat who deserve protection. That's what we're telling ourselves, and it makes us feel better in a virtuous, look how cool we are with nature kind of way. The deal is that the rats stay outside, preferably at their end of the garden, and we're pretending they're not there. I think they get it. Watch this space.
Now, some articles about what's on. The headline is Apollo Players Dreaming of a White Summer. The Apollo Players' latest production brings the festive season slap bang into the middle of summer. With a cast of just 3, Every Christmas Story Ever Told, and Then Some, that's the title, is a fast-paced sketch show with multiple characters that manages to reference most of the things everyone loves about that most magical time of the year, including A Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, customs, films, carols and songs. The show aims to remind everyone how much fun Christmas is, so why celebrate it just once a year? In fact, audience members are invited to dress appropriately for the season, come along in Christmas hats and jumpers draped in tinsel. Every Christmas Story Ever Told and Then Some will be performed at 7:30 p.m. between July the 5th and the 13th inclusive, except Sunday and Monday, at the Apollo Theatre in Newport. Tickets are available online at Apollo Theatre, or alternatively book by calling 210010.
We got a few shows coming up at Shanklin Theatre. Tonight is the Yellow Experience. Tomorrow night is a Rolling Stones story, and then Sunday is Tina Simply the Best. And there's a few shows in July that might interest you. Thursday the 4th, Beyond the West End. Friday the 5th, El Murray, and Saturday the 6th, El Murray. Sunday the 7th, Theatre Train Summertime Special, that's at 5 o'clock. Monday the 8th is Paul Garrick at 7:30. Thursday the 11th, Beyond the West End at 8:15. Sunday the 14th, The Beach Boys, a tribute show at 7:30. Wednesday the 17th, Mark Robertson and the Counterfeit, Cricket's tribute to Buddy Holly, that's at 7:30. Thursday the 18th, Beyond the West End at 8:15. Saturday the 20th, Forever in Blue Jeans at 7:30. Thursday the 25th, Beyond the West End at 8:15. Friday the 26th, Carpenter's Gold at 7:30. Saturday the 27th, 80s Mania at 7:30. And the box office number is 868-000.
This is Wellbeing Activities and Zen coming to the Great Wonder Fest. Wellbeing and Zen are coming to the Great Wonder Fest. The Awakening Festival is joining the Family Festival at Duxmoor Farm, Newport, on August the 1st to the 4th. The Awakening offers a holistic well-being retreat experience, providing the ultimate space for energizing, healing, and unwinding. This escapist paradise, nestled within an ancient woodland, is where the festival goers will be able to indulge in some me time with a range of activities ranging from talks and sessions to masterclasses, workshops and therapies. There will be multiple spaces as well as Swedish hot tubs, massage, hammocks and therapy pods, together with a range of treatments on offer. Inspiring talks focus on conscious living and well-being topics will be hosted on the Awakening Sessions stage. Special guest speakers will include author and food blogger Emily Leary, who will be sharing inspiration from her book How to Get Your Kids to Eat Anything, and DJ and life coach Brandon Block, who will talk about living happy days. There will be interactive goal mapping sessions with Brian Main and practical self-care sessions from aromatherapy to creating family vision boards. B, yoga, breath and movement sessions and meditation masterclasses. Koya for families, an introduction to hypnobirthing, Pilates and aerial yoga. Also featuring in the Indulge Me Pamper Lounge and a Unicorn Day.
Well, piano and folk vibes at Newport Theatre. The ever popular Rick Wakeman returns to the island for one-off show at Medina Theatre next Friday on the second part of his Piano Odyssey UK tour. In 2017, professional musician, keyboard player, songwriter, broadcaster and raconteur Rick made chart history when his Piano Portraits record became the first solo piano instrumental album to enter the UK's top 10 on release. He repeated the same feat with the release of his follow-up, Piano Odyssey, in October 2018. Both albums feature music which has been important to Rick on his own personal musical journey, drawn from contemporary pop and rock as well as classical repertoire. They include arrangements of David Bowie's Life on Mars, Cat Stevens' Morning Has Broken, the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby, Yes's Wondrous Stories, and Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. The accompanying tour was such a sellout success that Rick decided to perform more Piano Odyssey shows in 2019. Expect an evening of superb musicianship with a selection of music from both albums and more, interspersed with insightful anecdotes and much knockabout humour. The unmissable show starts at 7:30 next Friday. Tickets are £28 and available online by calling the box office on 823884. Legendary 70s folk rock pioneers Lindisfarne are also coming to Medina Theatre this summer. The band returns to form with a classic five-piece lineup of long-time members fronted by original founder member Rod Clements on vocals, mandolin, fiddle and slide guitar. With a repertoire of unforgettable songs like Meet Me on the Corner, Fog on the Tyne, Lady Eleanor and Run for Home, and a reputation for a live performance second to none, Lindisfarne's power to galvanise festival and concert audiences remains undimmed and is guaranteed to get the crowd on its feet and singing along. They're there on Friday, August the 2nd.
Other shows at Medina Theatre are Wednesday the 3rd of July at 7:30, Mad About Musicals, the UK's #1 show, which takes you on a whistle-stop tour from the heart of London's theatreland to the glitz of Broadway. Then Friday the 5th of July, again at 7:30, Rick Wakeman Piano Odyssey Tour. The ever popular Rick Wakeman returns to the Isle of Wight for a one-off show at Medina Theatre. 13th of July, again at 7:30, the Melodic Choir with a range of songs. And money is going to be raised for the Friends of the Hospital. It'll be an evening of legendary Motown songs. Little Mix is on Friday the 30th of August. This is a bit earlier at 6 p.m. And then Believe Share, a stunning concert, we're told, to celebrate the goddess of pop, Cher. That's Friday the 27th of September, again at 7:30. And lastly, Friday the 4th of October, Mercury, the world's leading tribute band, again 7:30. And if you would like tickets, the telephone number is 823 880. And as you would expect, the prices, there's a range of prices, for the different shows.
Okay, and Ventnor Fringe Festival was also on, 10th birthday for the fantastic Fringe. New venues and 90 shows will help Ventnor Fringe celebrate 10 years. The 10th anniversary Fringe will take place between July the 23rd to 28th, earlier than its usual August slot. One act has already sold out the popular podcast show Drunk Women Solving Crime. Look out for the acclaimed Edinburgh Fringe hit Improves Shakespeare. The show brings a new, unique Shakespeare play each time, inspired by audience suggestions. Other highlights include Rick of the Fringe, which will showcase some of the festival's best new comedians, hosted by 2 times Edinburgh Comedy Award nominee Ahir Shah, recognisable from Live at the Apollo and the MASH Report. There will also be Edinburgh previews from fast-riding comedians such as Chris Stokes, Granny Maguire, and Bilal Zafar. Add to this the family shows, circus acts, free acts, pop-up shows, secret spaces, and the return of the Crazy Puppet pub quiz. Festival coordinator Jack Whitewood said, after 10 years the Ventnor Fringe has come of age and now offers a massively diverse, vibrant programme that can compete with city offerings, but presented in spaces and ways that only the Isle of Wight can do.
Over to local news. Well, I shall read what's on for North, Central and East, and Paul is going to do South and West. So I'll start with North Wight. St Mary's Church Cowes has appealed for volunteers to help tidy the churchyard. Members of the congregation will be there on Monday at 10 a.m. to welcome volunteers. Northwood Parish Council meets on Tuesday at Northwood Primary School at 6:30 p.m. The Philo Cafe, a friendly or Philo philosophical discussion group, meets at Cowes Library on Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. Cowes Men's Shed is open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Find us at 25 to 26 Somerton Industrial Park. Call 209 734 for more information.
Okay, so I'll do a few from South Wight and a few from West Wight because there's a whole page of them. South Wight first. Walking for Health group meets every Thursday at Lake Green Common at 10:15 a.m. for a 10:30 a.m. start, for a walk of approximately 2 hours with some styles included. All newcomers welcome. Brading Men's Sheds meet on Thursday at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Brading Youth Club. Everyone welcome to make things, learn things and drink tea. Also in Brading there's a community choir which meets on Tuesdays at St Mary's Church Hall 7:15 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. Ventnor Baptist Church has a drop-in centre on Wednesday between noon and 2 p.m. A couple now for West Wight. Freshwater Chess Club meets on Tuesdays between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. upstairs at Freshwater Conservative Club, Queen's Road. All grades welcome. For further information, phone 752 911. Freshwater Short Match Bowls Club has vacancies for anyone interested in playing. The club meets at Freshwater Memorial Hall every Thursday between 1:30 p.m. and 4:15 p.m. with tea or coffee. The club also welcomes players from other clubs to a friendly match or to come along individually. For details, phone 753 457. The Phoenix Choir will perform a selection of easily listening songs and musical favourites at St James Church, Yarmouth at 7:30 next Saturday, that's July 6th. Wine available during the interval. Free entry and proceeds go towards church repairs. And the last one I'm going to read out is that a crafts and giftware market is being held at the Wilberforce Hall, Brightstone, each Thursday throughout the summer between 11 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Stalls include local scenic photography, knitted baby clothes, hand-painted gift boxes, greeting cards, hand-painted waistcoats, contemporary artwork, fitted blankets, etudes and knitted bags. Refreshments available.
Over to East Wight. What's on? The Fleming Arms will host Ride's Pitch Up at the Pub meetings. Come and enjoy a cake or a bacon bap and endless cups of coffee or tea for £3.50, fun quizzes and plenty of chat. 10:30 to noon on July the 5th and 19th. Then the Silver Surfers Cafe will open between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Wednesday at the Seagrove Pavilion in Seaview. People will be on hand to assist with all sorts of computer problems, £2 per session. Contact Nigel Golding for details on 566 357. Seaview Fun Choir meets every Thursday from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Undercroft at St Peter's Church. Sessions cost £2 to cover the cost of refreshments. For more information, contact Wendy on 716 120. Ryde Recorded Music Society meets at Ryde Methodist Church, Garfield Road, at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesdays for its Bring on the Music show, introduced by Janet Mills. A tea dance takes place at Aspire Dover Street Ryde on Wednesday between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m, including modern, sequence and line dancing. Beginners welcome and tutors on hand.
Okay, this is an article from Westminster by Bob Seeley, the MP. Biosphere Boost. Last week's announcement the island is now England's third UNESCO Biosphere Reserve is great news. Achieving this internationally recognised award is part of a wider environmental agenda for the island to recognise our unique and beautiful landscape. Congratulations to all who made it happen, especially Joel Bateman, Richard Grogan and Jonathan Bacon. Next, and in regards to my campaign on the island plan, I am working with the Islands Association of Local Councils so I can talk to all town and parish representatives on the island. As you may know, the island plan proposes the construction of around 9,600 new homes by 2034. This is far too many and too few will be built for islanders. I want housing for islanders in existing communities in appropriate numbers, not on green fields. I'd like to hear from anyone who would like to help me raise awareness among islanders and listen to their views. We need to speak with one voice to make sure our government listens. We had more good news on the jobs front recently with GKN Aerospace's announcement of an £11 million investment in its East Cowes site over the next 2 years. It's a great example of business committing to the island. Finally, the Conservative Party leadership contest has given me a chance to remind the candidates about commitments the government has made to the island. In 2018, through its fair funding review, government recognised the unique cost pressures associated with providing services on an island for the first time and agreed to take account of the additional time taken by ferry transport in any measure of remoteness, including the time taken on board the ferry and at embarkation and disembarkation. A study by the University of Portsmouth suggests the annual additional cost of local government services due to the island factor is £6.4 million. I want that translated into action in an island deal which provides a sustainable funding base for public services. I respect both the final two candidates, but I am backing Boris because I believe he will deliver on Brexit and on a domestic agenda to take our country forward.
Well, some gardening tips on potatoes. Well, gardening with Richard Wright. Bag yourself a bumper crop of potatoes. Ulster Prince is top of my new potato pops for now. My row of Princes, one of a mostly magnificent 8 kinds I planted this year, produced a big yield of disease-free, soft-skinned, tasty new potatoes. Swift was, as you might by the name, the first on the plate. But it was beaten for taste by International Kidney, which is also called Jersey Royal, which has its own distinctive flavour. Maris Peer and Accord, though the latter had disappointing yield. I still have the knobbly French variety Rat to look forward to, and the produce from my old recycling tubs, Wilger, and the old chipping, mashing and roasting favourite, Desiree. It'll be like Christmas lifting some of these potatoes. If you want to plan ahead for next year, hold back a few seed potatoes bought in the spring in the fridge and plant them in a tub in August. They'll have gone wrinkly and have spindly shoots, but they'll still produce a good Christmas feed. Nicola, Charlotte and Maris Peer are all recommended. The foliage will be yellow and it'll die down in late autumn and can be removed, and the compost then kept fairly dry prior to lifting the tubers on the big day.
And it's goodbye from Paul.
And goodbye from Sarah.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, Braille readers angry at the loss of long-enjoyed magazines will be seeking an explanation. And can you change attitudes to Braille just by changing one word? Braille to print.
In your school, no one besides you reads print. The teachers don't read it, your friends don't read it. There is no print displayed around the halls, on the classroom walls, or in the lunchroom. Everybody reads, but nobody reads English print.
One mother of a Braille reading child conducts an experiment. And a guide dog owner with a new route to work who feels she's not getting the help she needs. But first, Gail Guest has been receiving and enjoying Braille magazines from one of the few producers of Braille in the UK, the Scottish Braille Press, for many years. But the other day, she got a letter containing a nasty shock.
It said that the Scottish Braille Press are stopping production of all their Braille magazines. And the weekly magazines are stopping this week, so the last copy will be this week. And the monthly magazine the last one is in the middle of July.
Which magazines are you losing?
Home Help, Madam, and Braille Sporting Record. The Spectrum magazine, and also some people have a knitting pattern magazine quarterly, and that is also going. So it's every Braille magazine that they produce.
And how long have you been receiving them?
I am now in my late 60s, and I have been receiving it since my early 20s, so 45 years, I would say.
And as far as women's magazines, because 2 or 3 of them fall into that category,
Yes.
What kind of other options are there?
There are very few in Braille, certainly. I mean, the RNIB do one, but it's not the same as these magazines. It's sort of more for younger women, a bit more modern than me, really. Of course, there are, I think, some of the women's magazines on CD or memory stick. But I really feel, Peter, for Braillists, as I know you know, Braille is a really important medium for us, and it's the way we want to read our magazines.
Now, the Scottish Braille Press tells us that it's steadily been losing subscribers for these magazines,
Yes.
and that they can no longer, therefore, support it. What do you say to that?
They should have thought it through better and at least have one women's magazine a month, perhaps. I just think it's so sort of sudden and unfair, really, on us to take all the magazines away at once. My friends and I really do feel they should have asked us for more subscriptions over the years.
Would you? So you would have been prepared to pay more?
Absolutely. Everybody I've spoken to has said yes, they would have been prepared to pay more.
And Gail's only one of several listeners who've got in touch with us about this. The Scottish Braille Press, as well as producing some books and magazines, also carries out transcription services in Braille, large print and audio, and it's operated by a broader charity, Royal Blind, which offers a range of services including care, education and employment advice. Well, Mark O'Donnell is Chief Executive of the Scottish Braille Press. Mark O'Donnell, why are these magazines being discontinued?
Well, firstly, just to say how difficult a decision it's been, and it's one that we're very sad and sorry about, and particularly to those subscribers who we're having to disappoint, and that's not something that we've arrived at lightly. We've actually been subsidising this heavily for a long time, but unfortunately the subscriptions have continued to drop, and it's costing us a significant sum of money. It's a six-figure sum of money, actually, because of the nature of Braille production to produce these magazines. For now, 40-odd subscribers only left in Scotland, and sadly, as much as we'd like to continue doing that, because Royal Blind has really big ambitions to reach more people with sight loss, so we're going to have to make some decisions about what we invest in. You
say readership in Scotland. It isn't. I mean, there are people outside Scotland who have been contributing to this, of course.
That's right. Yeah, they are. But ultimately, as a Scottish-based charity, we have to look at our impact in Scotland.
But you are saying that because it's a Scottish charity, you don't feel you can subsidise, as it feels to you, people from outside Scotland.
That's right. I mean, and ultimately we really focused on this doubling of sight loss that's expected in the next couple of decades due to the ageing population. There's already 170,000 people with significant sight loss. Statutory services are poor. If anything, they're being reduced due to cuts in local authority budgets, and we feel that we've got a responsibility as Scotland's biggest sight loss organisation to really step up to that challenge.
But the subscriptions are very low, £10 a year for weekly magazines, and what people have said to us is we would pay more, but we've not been consulted, we've never even been asked.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's very kind of people to make that kind of offer.
It's not kind, they want their magazines.
No, sure, but at over £100,000 a year for this level of subscription, there's no realistic level of upping the subscription that's going to make a dent in that.
But the latest published annual report of Royal Blind, which, as you said, operates Scottish Braille Press, says the press achieved another strong performance this year. I'm quoting, this is 2018, with a total income of £3.3 million. Are you really saying that it wouldn't have been possible to support these much appreciated and much loved publications for a bit longer?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, but the annual accounts that you're reading, just because of the timings of those publications, are now over a year old. And
so are you in trouble over this year then?
No, not at all. The Braille Press is effectively an enterprise and a commercially minded business, and since those accounts have been published, we've had to renegotiate some of our contracts because technology is changing all the time, and any business has to stay ahead of that, which means we're having to readjust the numbers and think hard about certain decisions like this.
Mark O'Donnell. Now, listener Alicia Sellers has just moved to another part of Birmingham, which means she has to learn some new routes. She's a guide dog owner and can request help with learning new routes from the Guide Dogs Association. But she's been encountering problems. She told Lee Kumatat about them.
Basically, I was moving in with a new partner, and also I wanted to be a bit closer to my job.
What support do you think you need to find your way around your new surroundings?
What works for me is for someone to sort of accompany me on the route a couple of times, negotiate things with me, like busy crossings that might be a bit confusing if you've got, islands in the middle and you don't know if there's an island there, or things like that, really. So I was really looking forward to, I like just wandering around on my own with my dog, really. I like kind of going and browsing around different shops, and I also wanted to take up swimming again and do more of that. And it's frustrating because I know that all of these places are pretty close, but I'm just not quite able to put all the pieces together in kind of finding my way.
And why is that?
I don't feel like I've had the appropriate support from guide dogs that I was hoping for. I made them aware of the fact that I would be moving area as soon as we had the go-ahead that we could rent the property. But I keep calling and apparently I'm top of the list, but I'd hate to think what it'd be like at the bottom of the list because I've had no input whatsoever. Moving area, I think, for anybody is quite stressful and quite difficult, and I would have really appreciated that bit of extra support in, finding my feet and things like that. What reasons have you been given for them not being out to see you yet? Part of the reason was the fact that I was working a full-time job. I told them that I'd be home by 4:30, and I was really hoping actually that they would be able to work with me in these hours. It's not a ridiculously late time. We could have done half an hour, 45 minutes every so often, and that wouldn't be anywhere near outside office hours particularly. But I was told that that wasn't an option. I either had to take leave from work, had to do it in my lunch break, which wasn't practical. We only get half an hour for lunch. I did approach my employer about having time off, which was, they were understanding about it and there was no problem with it. But even with that go ahead, I still haven't had any support from guide dogs.
What have guide dogs said to you now that you've told them you can get the time off?
They've said, oh great, there's nobody available, we can't put in any dates at this stage because there's not anybody to do the route support with you, but as soon as we have someone we'll let you know. But it's been 4 months now, I think.
What impact is this having on you?
It has been having a bit of an impact on my mental health, because just sort of feeling a bit claustrophobic, very frustrated, especially when people maybe at work say, oh, have you been here, or this is quite close to you, or you could go here, and knowing that these places are around me, and coming home and maybe trying to get to these places and not feeling entirely safe because I'm getting lost and not sure where I am and not actually getting to these places. Also, I feel that there's a little bit of hypocrisy, whether it's, intentional or not, because, before we get our dogs, we're told we're supposed to work them for a certain amount of time during the day, and they're supposed to have, a certain amount of free runs. But I feel like that the organisation is kind of disempowering me from being able to do that. And I also just want to sort of touch a little bit on the employment issue, because I would have thought that an organisation that really advocates independence and blind people getting out and about and being in work and doing the normal things that everybody does would want me to be in work as much as possible and not try and take away from that time as well.
Alicia Sellers. Well, we invited Guide Dogs for the Blind Association to explain their side of the story. They declined our invitation to come onto the programme, but offered us a statement.
Our trainers work incredibly hard, frequently above and beyond their standard working hours, to provide the highest possible level of support and training. We work closely with employers and encourage them to be supportive of someone training with a guide dog or another of our services, as a reasonable adjustment in line with their obligations under the Equality Act. However, where we cannot agree a compromise with an employer, and based upon individual circumstances, our trainers do everything they can to adjust their working patterns and are committed to supporting people with sight loss to have the confidence and support they need to live their fullest life.
Now, as a regular Braille reading train traveller, I'm used to people's bewilderment about the reading system I take for granted. The fact that people with no experience of blindness can't understand how this series of oddly shaped and positioned bumps can turn into a confidently read book is excusable. What Erin Jepson, the mother of 2 visually impaired children, can't tolerate is that these kinds of attitudes are regularly encountered in schools with, she feels, serious consequences. Erin joined us from Moscow, Idaho, but it's fair to say that the reactions she describes will be recognised by Braille users all over the world. Erin told me first a bit more about herself and her children.
I am low vision. I read both print and Braille, and I'm also a certified Braille transcriber. One of my children is totally blind and is a Braille reader. One of my children is low vision and is a print reader. And then I have 2 sighted children as well. So it puts me in a unique position. I feel like I bridge the gap sometimes between the print world and the Braille reading world.
Now, you wrote an article which, cleverly, we thought, exchanged the word Braille for the word print to make your points about the way in which Braille is regarded and the kind of attitudes that visually impaired children encounter. We've voiced up some of the headlines that you use to signpost the main problems you identify with those attitudes and the lack of resources and understanding. So here's headline 1.
It makes sense that you're having a hard time with this. It is hard to learn print. As your hypothetical classroom teacher, I don't actually read this print stuff. Your aide took a 2-week training course and we have a reference chart here, but I really don't know how print works. It just looks like a bunch of squiggles on the paper. It uses a round symbol for both the 0 and the letter O, and I'm not sure how to tell you which one's which.
I think the attitude that a Braille learner often gets is, this is so unduly complicated. It's okay if you don't learn it fluently. It's okay if you just half-heartedly learn it. It's okay if you're illiterate at this. Whereas a print reader, that attitude will never fly. A teacher needs to bear in mind that as a learner, the difference between hearing, this is really hard, keep trying, but don't worry if you don't get it because I don't get it. That's different than hearing as a learner. I know this takes a lot of work. Learning to read takes a lot of work for everyone. Keep at it because it's worth it and you can do it. Others have done it and you can too.
Let me give you headline 2.
I'm sorry, but your book is loaded with typos. The books we're giving you were transcribed by unqualified volunteers, so there are at least 2 typos or misprints or misspelled words for every 30 words. Just remember, you're lucky to have print books at all.
So I've heard that before. We're obviously swapping the word print for Braille, but do you really think that this is a pervasive attitude and regularly communicated to visually impaired children?
You know, I'm on a lot of support groups for parents of blind children, and I do think this is a pervasive attitude. Unfortunately, children are asked to absorb the expense and difficulty of Braille. As a transcriber, I can tell you exactly how much 1,000 sheets of Braille paper costs. I can tell you exactly how long it takes to emboss 70 sheets on my old Juliet Pro embosser. I know how much an hour of my time is worth when it comes to formatting a book. We as a society should absorb that cost to have literate children, but the child themselves should never have to absorb that cost. Blindness is a low incidence disability, so Braille is always going to cost more. But philosophically, you know, is the child asked to absorb that? Do they have to feel guilty that their books cost more than everybody else's book? Or should they get to be able to read like everybody else?
Let me give you one more.
You will get your books late. Always. Your maths book is still at the translator's shop. They say it will be here in 7 months. Everyone else is going to use a maths book during the next 7 months, but I'll just read your maths out loud to you.
In your experience, how often does this actually occur? Does it happen a lot?
Well, I wrote this because for us it was a real example. This really happened to my daughter her first grade year of school. They sent the book part by part, and it was 7 months before we got the whole thing. And unfortunately, she was working ahead of the parts that we got the entire year. So the book was useless to us. So the expense that went into transcribing that book was completely useless. And then the next year, in her second grade, a teacher's aide, a teacher's assistant, who was not a certified transcriber, was doing the transcribing work. And there were a lot of errors. And she was, you know, doing her work for her, spelling her words for her. And I don't know. I know that a lot of Braille teachers and transcribers, they do their best. They really care. They really try. They often get overloaded or asked to work beyond their training, and that isn't their fault. You know, they really, really do try, and they really do care about their kids. But I've spoken with support groups around the country, and from what I gather, this is just more the norm than the exception.
Erin Jepson. Well, if you'd like to give us your views on Erin's take on attitudes to Braille, or indeed on anything else in the programme, you can leave direct messages to us on 0161 836 1338. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or visit our website at bbc.co.uk/in touch, from where you can download tonight's and previous podcasts of the programme. From me, Peter Wight, producer Lee Kumatat and the team. Goodbye.
This is the scaffolding news for Friday, the 28th of June 2019. We start with the Cowes area. Current scaffolds: 93 High Street, Cowes, scaffold up within hoarding. Cameos, Bath Road, Cowes. Ship and Castle Inn, Castle Street, East, Cowes. 19 to 20 Shooters Hill, Cowes. 1 Beckford Road, Cowes, and 63 High Street, Cowes. There's pending cherry picker at Tides, Shooter Hill, Cowes. Current skips at 16 Yarborough Road, East, Cowes, and current hoardings at 93 High Street, Cowes.
And in the Newport area, current scaffoldings at Coastal Mobility, 9 St Thomas's Square, Newport. Units 1, 2 and 3, 32 High Street, Newport. 16 Trafalgar Road, Newport. 117 to 118 High Street, Newport. Pending scaffolds at Key House, 43 Key Street, Newport. Current skips at 6 Southview, Newport. Current cherry picker, front elevation of shops in South Street and side elevation in Orchard Street, Newport.
In the Ryde area, current scaffolds: 34 Castle Street, Ryde, 35 to 36 High Street, Ryde, Hill Cottage, Main Road, Haven Street. Flats 31 to 36 Mary Mead Close, Ryde, Saltmead Cottage, Blewett Avenue, Seaview, 17 South Street, Ryde, 2A St James's Street, Ryde, 22 West Street, Seaview Boots, 170 High Street, Ryde. Pending scaffolds at 18 High Street, Ryde, and current skips at Carita, Steen Road, Seaview, parking bays at High Park Square, School Street, Ryde. Pending skips: 22 Reed Street, Ryde, and Celandine, Steen Road, Seaview.
In the Sandown and Shanklin area, current scaffolds: Wilmar, Dorkin and Vermaper Cottages, Church Street, New Church, the Ocean Hotel Townhouses, High Street. Sandown Chubbies, 1 Regent Street, Shanklin. New application on front elevation. Former Lloyds Bank, High Street, Sandown. Current cherry pickers: Downsview, Sandown. Current skips: Fairway Caravan Park, Giles Lane, Sandown. Stour Place, Sandown. Current hoardings: Premier Inn, 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Pending mobile crane, Premier Inn, 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown.
And in the Ventnor area, current scaffolds: corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor. 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor. 32 Pier Street, Ventnor. 30 South Street, Ventnor. And Boots, High Street, Ventnor. 10 to 10A Pier Street, Ventnor. 42 High Street, Ventnor. 2 North Street, Ventnor. 9 Devonshire Terrace, Dudley Road, Ventnor. The Salon, 1 Spring Hill, Ventnor. And Premier Express, 37A High Street, Ventnor. And there are current skips at 16 South Street, Ventnor.
And finally, the West Wight area, current scaffolds at St James's Church, St James's Street, Yarmouth. Corner of Market Square, Key Street, Yarmouth. And vehicle crossings under construction. These are at 10 Bering Road, Cowes, 33 Clatterford Road, Newport, 40 Weeks Road, Ryde, 105 Castle Road, Newport, Dotton's Farm, Bering Road, Cowes, 14 Mount Pleasant Road, Newport, 101 St John's Road, Newport, 8 Gurnard Heights, Gurnard, 3 Tamar Close, Sandown, 386 Newport Road, Cowes, and finally 17 Paddock Road, Shanklin.